ladies and gentlemen. Now, in today's video, we're going to be going over an easy path completion guide for the Necropolis. And I say easy because it is the easiest path available, but it's still the Necropolis. This is still an absolute mountain of a piece of content, and using a slightly optimized version of the initial Aegon strategy that we had yesterday, you can actually get the revive counter down a fair bit. So Cam did this yesterday, kind of after our call. Cam, again, massive shout out to him, managed to do it in about 30 revives. So if you're a very good player, you should be able to get this run done in about like 30 to maybe 60 revives. If you're a decent player, but you know, not near perfect, maybe kind of budget for like 60 to 100, and if you're just bad at the game, then maybe like, you know, 100 to 200 plus. But this path, like, again, I think the most difficult thing about it is really like the first like 5 opponents. Like once you get like through those, then there's a lot of very easy things to just absolutely smash through. But just at this moment in time, this path very specifically does have the strategy of just bringing Aegon, and he's going to absolutely demolish everything. So if you've got a 6-star Aegon, looking at the Necropolis completion and also 100%, I'm watching Pepe do 100% at the moment, Aegon has worked for every single path and about like 95% of fights in the Necropolis. There's only, I think, like 3 or 4 fights that he doesn't work like so good for. So, you know, if you do have that 6-star Aegon, he's just been sitting in your roster, you haven't really had like a reason to rank him up. If you rank him up now, he's just going to pay off like in a crazy way, because like you could instantly do like this path, and you also get the 200 dust to ascend like another 6-star champion as well. So I fully recommend for the Necropolis, just like maxing out Aegon is just going to absolutely pay off. And just as a side note as well, just for this completion, I haven't tested this at the moment kind of extensively, as in like doing a full run, but I have done a little bit of like ramp up testing on Titania. And what I found so far is that the 5-star version of Aegon should be viable for Necropolis. Again, it's going to cost you a lot more revives than the 6-star version, but if you have the 5-star version and you ascend that, you've still got the 120 charges on the opponent, so I see no reason currently why the 5-star version of Aegon wouldn't work. And again, if you get him ascended, he's almost like 6-star rank 3 power level. So again, I think like 5-star Aegon is a bit of a backup option, but again, for this specific easy path, like we're just going to be focusing on Aegon here. And we're kind of at a point in the game where like every month or two you have like Abyss Nexus crystals come in. You know, if you pick the skill one and you just tunnel Aegon as hard as you can, and for all of your you know, like 5-star crystals, you just pick like the what is it, the skill of mutant one. I think there's pretty good ways to tunnel Aegon, and again, there's no like massive rush as well to get this done immediately. This is something you can kind of work toward over the next like year or two. Like again, this content is going to be around for a very long time, and again, if you don't have Aegon, there are going to be other guides and other paths that you can use, like the what is it, the Zemo and Shuri one, if you get those champions before you get Aegon. But yeah, there's going to be additional stuff coming out, but if you want the easiest possible time and one of the cheapest times as well, just for the average player, I think this is going to be, again, kind of a staple strat for the majority of the community. So kind of the two things, again, core to this strat are having Aegon and having a champion that is immune to reverse controls. If you have a champion that's immune to reverse controls, is going to make the final phase of the Grandmaster like 1,000 times easier. Like, it's not even funny. So you just want Aegon, and then one of these champions that falls in this bracket here. So Professor X could work really well. Juggernaut seems to be a very popular option. Wiccan as well. But really, you don't need any damage or utility of these champions other than their immunity to reverse control for the final phase of the Grandmaster, because you need to, in order to kill him, you need to like land a special 1, a special 2, and also a special 3. But if you don't bring immunity to reverse controls, then every single time you do an action, your controls are reversed, and that phase is an absolute nightmare. So unless you're like the craziest player, the best in the world, I would say kind of these two slots are pretty much essential. And then aside from that, when it comes to building your team, it's just all about really doing things that are going to make Aegon a lot better to play. So one of the like amazing things, which is just crazy cheese and would have saved me so many units, is Heimdall. Now the interaction that Heimdall has is because he has that cheat death, it doesn't actually give the indestructible, but it still prevents the killing blow and reverses it. Meaning that using Heimdall, you can actually tank special 3s with Aegon, and this is really important for certain fights. It just allows you to basically get like a second life in that fight, and again, it's going to save you a lot of units. Now, the second synergy I'd recommend is just the Proxima Midnight one. This gives Aegon 25% more potency to his Furies, and also gives the combo shield as well. Again, makes him much easier to ramp up in the start, and just gives you that really nice safety net there. Now, for that final slot, there are a couple of options. You can just bring in Nick Fury, and if you kill Nick Fury off, Aegon's going to get 20% attack rating. So I think for the majority of people, again, this is just a really good one if you just want to get in, get like the biggest possible damage and absolutely plow through there. There is also the option of bringing in the Thor synergy, and this allows you to like dash back and hold block to regenerate 15% of missing health. So again, this could potentially, if you're a very skilled player, you want to do this like max budget, save you like a few health potions, and maybe just kind of prolong the amount of hits that you can get in a fight there, especially with, you know, how you want to play Aegon kind of moving into some of the later matches once you're fully ramped, because you do want to be like taking hits. You've got the unstoppable, you can instantly punish in, and you're getting like the 6 stacks of fury. Like there's crazy things you can do with Aegon and the way he's played that you couldn't do in like the Labyrinth and also the Abyss of Legends due to the stun node. And that's kind of like probably the biggest and most important thing to keep in mind here. Just going to put in Nick Fury just to kind of show the ideal team and just have this rostered. But again, I'd recommend Aegon, reverse control immunity, absolutely essential. Heimdall, you know, just big, absolutely huge. Proxima Midnight, very huge as well. And final slot is a little bit open. You know, if you want to bring somebody else there, you can. But Nick Fury and just kill him off is also a really, really solid option there. So yeah, moving in. Again, one of the biggest differences with how the Necropolis works is like the Enrage node. So you get like an Enrage based on the Challenger rating, and then using your Striker kind of extends that Enrage a little bit. And this is one of the things as well of Aegon. You want to make sure you've got your highest star relic equipped. So ideally, if you have one, you want to use a 6-star relic. I understand unless you're playing high tier BGs, you probably don't have one. But like a 4 or 5-star one also works absolutely fine. Again, the enrage is like is fairly minimal when it does come to play in Aegon. It's just like the higher relic, essentially, the better, you know? So it's just like a little bonus tip there. So also, this is the mastery setup I use just to get the most out of Aegon. Again, the suicide masteries, they're not needed. This isn't needed, but it just like gets a bit more damage out of him if you want to. So I didn't place the suicide masteries until I had him fully ramped up at the almost 1,000 combo, just because I wanted to maximize the ramp up time. And I really suggest that a lot of people do that as well, just because ideally, before you get to like a Mega Sentinel and especially Airwalker, you just want to make sure you're like fully ramped up at that 999 combo, because it's just going to make things like a little bit easier, a little bit quicker to do. And that's kind of like the difficulty of this run, really, is like kind of ramping Aegon up and just going again, because like he doesn't have like the best fights in the world to ramp up, but they're also not really like worse than like Abyss of Legends thing or like the Luke Cage in that. So the first 2 fights you've got where you can ramp up pretty much entirely through these 2 fights are Titania and Vision Arcus. Now, what makes this Titania a little bit annoying is when you do dash back, you can also like pause her unstoppable, unblockable buffs. So this can get like really dodgy if you just get like a bad start. You kind of get backed into the corner a little bit. So this Titania kind of takes like a little bit of practice getting used to, but the really good thing is she is literally like the first opponent on the path. So I'd heavily suggest kind of just going in, getting some practice, get to that point where you're very comfortable just on an opening try, kind of consistently getting like an 80 to 100 plus combo. And once you're like super comfortable getting that like back to back, that's probably the time to like start your run. And then you just want to kind of go in, just get the highest possible combo you can. And then when you're about to get hit or about to die, you just quit out the fight, revive up, you know, bank your combo and go again. So that is essentially what you need to do for both Titania and also Vision Arcus as well. Vision Arcus, pretty straightforward, but does have a lot of power gain there. So again, you're just going to be ramping up throughout that. And then a Mega Sentinel is going to occasionally auto block and remove your stun as you kind of get more into the fight. But also having, I think it's like the True Strike here just allows you to like bypass the auto block that triggers the parry mastery. So yeah, the nodes really aren't too much to worry about. Like, she's very easy, providing that you do get the proper ramp up on Titania and Vision Arcus. And again, leaving Vision Arcus, you should be at least kind of like 750 800 combo. You fully ramp up on a Mega Sentinel. And then I think you've probably got like the two potentially like trickiest opponents for many people. You've got this Airwalker. Now, Airwalker, I actually think is probably like the hardest fight aside from the Grandmaster, just because like he's really annoying with a power gain, and he also has this node where every 15 seconds, if you don't knock him down, he's going to gain like a massive regeneration and go unstoppable as well. So it's very important you're getting very consistent knockdowns, but this can also be really annoying to do just because you have his power gain, his special attacks are a little bit long as well. So yeah, there are just some bad combos sometimes, but again, if you have Heimdall, a really nice safety buffer on this fight. So again, Heimdall is going to do some really good work with that synergy. Just make sure, again, you're paying very close attention to that knockdown timer. And then I would say Captain Britain, this is probably a fight, because there aren't many fights on this path, if really any, that you kind of need, or it's like a good idea to use like a lot of health potions. But this one, if you struggle with reverse controls, health potions can make your tries go a lot further on this one. So you've got Necrotic Boon, Psionic Control, so whenever a debuff is purified, and this is pretty much going to be all the time, it reverses your controls for 4 seconds. So if you have like a really, really bad time with reverse controls, again, if you've got like already stacked Juggernaut or Strife or any like other reverse control immune champion, again, you can kind of bring this one in as well. But with Aegon fully ramped up, again, the uptime you have on Unstoppable is absolutely insane, as long as you can just keep mashing. So yeah, just keep mashing like light attacks, health potions. Again, you can kind of cheese this one as well. She really isn't that difficult, aside from the reverse controls are coming in. The special attacks are very easy to deal with. So yeah, Captain Britain, again, for some people is going to be one of the worst fights. But this as well is a really good one to use health potions. Now, once you got to this point, you're just absolutely cooking. Wiccan is turbo easy. You can just pretty much, you know, ignore the majority of things and just, you know, push as much damage as possible here. I literally just didn't even pay attention to the node, man, and he just went down so quick. But it's like whenever the attacker and defender have the same number of bars of power, a 12-second timer starts, and then you basically just need to make sure you've got different bars of power in that 12-second window. And Psycho Man will deal damage to you if you don't do his call out, and it's like he randomly selects using a heavy attack, using a special attack, or blocking an attack, and you need to do that in a 12-second timer, or you take 15% of your max health. Again, you can kind of like semi-ignore this one and just plow through with revives. Again, Aegon is just like absolutely absurd for this. Guardian just plowed through this. He does have, what is it, every 6 seconds the defender gains an indefinite 5% armor up passive, unless the attacker is far away from the defender. And then striking the defender's block removes one of these armor ups. So yeah, you literally just plow through him and ignore that. Valkyrie can be a little bit annoying at some times, because unless you parry her and give her a pierce passive, when she's using a special attack, that special attack's free, so she keeps on spamming special attacks unless you get a parry or blocked hit. And again, being Valkyrie, she hits very hard into the block, but again, you can kind of just like, you know, push to special 3 and just use your special 3, get the Giga Stun and get a crazy combo off there. So you can just power through it with Unit Man if you want as well. Red Guardian is yeah, just an absolute, it's like Realm of Legends Red Guardian. But yeah, very fun, very fun fight, just absolutely free to power through. Then we have the Captain America Sam Wilson matchup, which is super trivial. So just does rupture debuffs, but again, Aegon, you're just purifying those, so just bait out the special 1 and easy game, easy life. And then we have the Dragon Man matchup. This one a little bit more on the annoying side. Again, Heimdall synergy going to be absolute MVP with this. You just got to bait out a lot of special attacks. He's going to be stun immune the majority of the time playing Aegon. So yeah, kind of going for that. And also, I think blocking the last hit of the special 1, I think removes his power gain charge as well. Just as a Dragon Man tip from Cam there. Then the Captain America is free, pretty much like a repeat of the Red Guardian matchup. Again, super face roll there. And then Nova is just like a really annoying Nova. So most of the time you're just going to bypass his like damage reduction cap, but sometimes you're going to deal like half damage or like 75% reduced damage on crits or something like that. But again, if you just take in like the occasional hit with Aegon, getting like the 6 Giga Furies, and just, you know, absolutely stomping, you're going to have an excellent time here. So yeah, I think really a lot of the difficulty is kind of just getting Aegon ramped up and then taking down that Airwalker and Captain Britain. And after that, there's like a lot of matches that go down very quickly. So again, it's a really good path for Aegon, just absolutely tears it. And I think just for a lot of players is just kind of the easiest option by a significant margin, assuming you do have Aegon and you've got him ranked up to a decent level there. And then finally, we have the Nameless Grandmaster. Now, this fight kind of has a few twists on the kind of the Act 6 Grandmaster final boss. So kind of some of the most noteworthy changes. And again, for this, there kind of needs to be like a full boss guide because there's a lot of like caveats to it. But just as a very simple rundown of what to expect. And again, Aegon's just so good for this health pool because he's got about 12 million, right? Your average opponent in here has about 6 to 8, and you're rolling through those. So even if I had to do this fight bugged yesterday, right? And I was just messing up as well. The bug was crazy annoying because he had like almost perma unstoppable for this fight, but just kind of mashing into it, he still goes down. So you can just units man your way through pretty much the entirety of this fight. Like it's possible to do that. But just as a bit of a heads up, again, some of the big differences, like he enrages and will special through you instantly at 3 tokens instead of 5, which is not the most fun time. Phase 1, you've got to do the 3 challenges that you had in Act 6. So that's like parry attack, use dexterity and land a light attack, but you also need to perform a knockdown as well. And if you do all 4 of these things, he gets wounded. But also in phase 1, there's this green light, red light mechanic. So he starts with like a green icon, but as soon as it goes red, you need to stop doing anything. Or he gains the bad tokens. And again, 3 of those tokens, you get 1 shot. And that can happen at any point. And when he does like the red light, he'll also just stay perfectly still as well. So yeah, just something to keep in mind there. So then in phase 2, he's got a game of Simon Says. So he's going to do his phase 2 callouts, as you remember from Act 6, but he has to say Grandmaster Says. So if he says Grandmaster Says get a buff, then you need to get a buff. But if he just says get a buff, you don't want to get a buff or you'll get punished. So keep that in mind. It's just a game of Simon Says in phase 2. Lay it on with the mechanics that you experienced in Act 6 as well. So the challenges are like whiff an attack, land a critical hit, perform an intercept, gain a buff, or inflict a damage effect. I believe these are exactly the same as Act 6, but again, you've got to look out for that Grandmaster Says call out. So this one really ain't too bad. And then finally, phase 3. So this is where it gets a little bit fun. Your controls are permanently reversed until the end of the phase, but in phase 3, if you use an immunity, you take 2% of your current health as direct damage every second for the rest of the phase. So if you're trying to use a reverse control immune champion for this phase, you take some pretty crazy damage, but it's also less damage than taking all of the hits directly to the face. However, if you're using Aegon, you've got the unstoppable and you kind of just plow through anyway. So that's at least what I did in the bug state. So yeah, Aegon just gets plowing. So you can be you know, quite bad at this game like I am, and still kind of get through this with Aegon. Be absolutely fine there. But yeah, he also has his Grandmaster Says mechanic here. But you can use your reverse control immunity champion, a lot of health potions here if you want, or you can just plow through this with Aegon. So just keep that in mind. So 2 additional things. Again, the challenges, just to recap, are strike into the block, performing backdashes, performing a knockdown, standing still, performing parries. So yeah, again, these are quite easy when the controls aren't reversed. The parry one can be a little bit annoying at times, but with reverse controls, again, can be a little bit annoying. And there's also the additional tug of war on top of Grandmaster Says. So the Grandmaster gains additional power faster the closer he is to his corner, and up to 75% slower the closer he is to the summoner's corner. So the more you have him on your side, the less power he's going to gain there. So just something to keep in mind. Again, I did not even notice this one, but I wasn't really like paying attention, just absolutely plowing through. So again, phase 3 is probably like mechanically the most hectic. There's a lot of things going on there. So if you can just, you know, get your unstoppable Aegon and get clapping, you're gonna have a pretty damn good time. Now, kind of going back to phase 4, and this is why I say, because like I spent the first time I did it just crazy amounts of time and potions and all that things. I did have a Grandmaster that was bugged as well, the heavy unstoppable, made this final phase more challenging. But dude, I think for the majority of people, reverse control immune champion is just like, is going to save you so much mental sanity here, and probably at least 10 to 20 revives for the average person. Because like I watched Andrew the Rough, massive shout out to him, do I think like the first phase 4 that I saw last night streamed with a reverse control immune champion. And it's just, it makes it so much easier, dude, because you just play the phase normally and it's like easy phase. So you don't take the degeneration in phase 4 for using a reverse control immune champion. It's only phase 3 that you take the degen. And in this final phase, you need to use a special 1, special 2, and special 3, and then you just need to hit him once. So if you can do that, very, very straightforward. And you just need to, again, kind of get the special 1 dodges down right, and you are absolutely chilling and having a good time. And the thing is as well, with this final phase, like all of your actions are persistent. So if, let's say, you just get the special 2 and then you die, it's not a problem. You can get it on the next run. So as long as you do, like, you know, just focus on getting like 1 done per run. If you're really struggling, it's not going to be like the most terrible time out there. But just make sure, again, this phase like is just stupidly annoying if you don't have a reverse control champion, because every single action that you take inverts your controls. So it's just constantly inverting from regular to like opposite controls and just back and forth with everything that you do. And it's so difficult to get a bearing on it, unless you want to spend a lot of time kind of perfecting reverse controls in this game. But that's entirely up to you. If that's your cup of tea and you want to do it without a reverse control champion, go for it. But you can watch my stream, Pepe's stream, anybody that didn't bring in a reverse control champion, and see what a nightmare this final phase is if you know, don't have a reverse control immunity, and just how easy and trivial it is. Like, all Andrew needs to do here is just get the special 3 and then just tap him once and the fight is over. And at this point, it's silly, man. It's absolutely silly. So just getting the dodges down, going in for another combo. Grandmaster does have a bit of crazy power gain here, but you know, it's just a lot of like dodging the special 1 and trying not to face tank it too much to get the special 3. So yeah, goes in, gets the special 3, and then all he's going to need to do after this is just secure 1 more hit to get the final kill and blow. And the Nameless Grandmaster is down, he's gone, he's in the bin. And you can see here, like, it doesn't matter, like damage is completely irrelevant. You just need the simple utility of having one champion that is immune to reverse control. You can literally use Aegon. You can use Aegon for this if you want to play with like regular controls, but great job to Andrew the Rough. Massive shout out to him. But yeah, at least like if I'm doing this again, if I'm recommending this to everybody, dude, bring a reverse control immune champion, unless you're like Metal Sonic Dude. Metal Sonic Dude is the only person I'd say, okay, yeah, you'll probably be able to finish the final phase, you know, without spending too many units. But yeah, it is crazy annoying, and I would not recommend anybody take on the Grandmaster phase 4 without a reverse control immunity champion, because you can generally, if you get really frustrated there, you can almost get completely walled on that one with some very bad luck. So as long as you have a way to bypass that, I think you're going to be having a pretty good time on your initial completion. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Necropolis completion. Again, that is going to get you your first 7-star rank 3 champion halfway toward Valiant, and we are still kind of seeing, you know, other paths and stuff that's working for 100%, but so far, dude, you know, this piece of content, even more than Abyss, seems like an absolute Aegon fiesta. Like, Aegon is just absolutely sending so many paths, and I love to see it, man. I love to see it just because, like, I went all out on the Aegon, and he's just paying off in, like, such a crazy way. I didn't expect him to be so good for just all of the fights, but literally like 15 out of 15 fights, aside from the final phase in Grandmaster, it's just like clapping cheeks of Aegon and having a great time. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this breakdown, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.